Welcome to the show with a twist, we got flair. Joe and Raven squawking about things we all share. From pixels to dice, we rollin' in style. Anime and movies make us laugh and smile. Video games, we love to geek out loud. Every episode draws in a big crowd. With topics so fresh and segments so fly. Join the conversation, reaching for the sky. Squaakin and Joe Mama always keeps it real. Talking about the stuff that makes us feel. From epic quest to battles on screen. Tune in every week, it's a pop culture dream.
Good. Okay, perfect. Look, see, we're getting it. We're getting it, guys. We're getting it. So, first of all, welcome to the podcast. It's a monthly podcast between me, myself, and Mr. Raven Squaak. Today is Raven chose the topic, so he'll be doing the leading of this one. But we're also joined by two special guests, a familiar face and a brand new face to the channel, and making his waves on Twitch and YouTube as well. So let's get you guys to introduce yourselves. First, we got Mr. Mikey Frames.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
That's all we get. You know, do you
intro?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a full intro. Want me to go in? Okay, we're doing it. Okay, my name is Mikey Frames. I haven't said that in like a year and a half or 2 years.
Oh, the legend.
I am a retired Twitch streamer with a million followers, which is now like what 100 something or less now. It's been that. Yeah, the fall off is real. But yeah, I am a friend of the crew here, and I'm excited to start talking and talking and talking and talking and talking.
Is there an echo in here?
What was that? Where'd you go?
Cat, I'll have to figure it out after stream because I'm not sure if I did something when I press this little. I don't know what this knob does on my mic. That might be what did it. So I don't know. But Lester, we also have Super Lester World, aka Lester. Please give everyone a breakdown of yourself and what you're up to these days.
Heyo, so my name's Lester. Super new. Well, I wouldn't say super new. I'm sort of returning to the YouTube world after, I guess, like at this point, it's like a 14-year hiatus. So for the last 10 years, I've been working as a professional video editor, first for news, then in the reality TV space. And recently, as in like very recently, like 5 weeks ago, I've basically turned into a full-time content creator. So learning the space, kind of catching up on social media and everything right now. It's just a lot has changed on YouTube in the last 10 years, my friends. Holy bananas. There's analytics, there's, all sorts of things now that we didn't have basically before the adpocalypse. I think that's when we stopped the first time. And then, yeah, so now I'm back and there's all these rules.
DOS.
You know what I mean? It's like before the adpocalypse, it was like the Wild Wild West. You could literally do and say anything.
You mean we can't take our shirts off? I mean, what?
Shirts off, boys, shirts off. But yeah, I'm here and I'm just really happy to be in this space right now. It's so freeing to make your own content and bring your own creativity to things. Which was when you're working in the professional space, yes, you're bringing in your creativity, you're bringing in your professionalism, but it's not yours. And to be able to do it for yourself on your terms it's amazing. So just happy to be here.
To add on real quick about like how things have changed, the even VTubers, they can't show hips apparently. That's the thing. VTubers, yeah.
Wow.
Cat's a VTuber streamer, and they had to be careful.
Cat was affected by these changes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks.
The more you know, I guess.
Thanks, Papazal, for the 100 bits. I will not take it off though, unfortunately. Sorry.
Too bad. I was about to start my VTuber career, and I had a really nice belt I wanted to show off, and I guess I can't now. So Appreciate that.
My hips got a lie now. That's funny.
Also, if you want to check out Lester's channels, they're right there as well.
Thank you. Thank
No
you.
problem. I'll be waiting for your video call after the show. Oh, shh! Don't spoil the Only Joes. It's a secret channel for everybody now. Anyways, Raven, take it away. What's up today? What's up? What's going on?
Oh, there's this thing that I feel like many of us really, really like, and like is universally like well regarded, and it's the idea of movies, escapism. We dive
You're gonna
into
say
the
feet.
world. Shit, you're right. Damn it! Oh, let's change the podcast. But yeah, we're talking about movies. Joe thought of a great name for this one: Lights, Camera, Squaak, a deep dive into movies. This is what we're talking about today. So, lock in, guys. I hope you guys got your popcorn, your drinks, your coffee, because we're at Joe Mama's house.
Hey.
Nice. Hey.
Got him. We got him. All right.
we got him. But yes, I guess I want to go through the list and like kind of pick you guys' brain and like see like what your personal relationships are with movies. For example, myself, I wouldn't say I'm a movie buff. I kind of sit somewhere in between like enthusiast and movie buff, but like I'm in the space. I work with a lot of different celebrities. I'm a videographer. I just really love the medium. It's great. It's fantastic. It's the best. What about you, Joe?
So I watch a lot of I mean,
TOS.
I'm an avid movie watcher or goer. Is that Raven? It is Raven Otto. Welcome on in.
Oh,
hey. And I enjoy, like, we'll talk about this later in terms of like preferences, but like I am a big fan of going to the actual theater. There's something about, since I was a kid, going to the theater that really brings it together. And in terms of movies, like I like a variety of genres. I even took, if there's any background, I wouldn't say it added to my thanks Jose, added to my
what a fucking emote.
added to my background in movies, but I did take a course in university. I think my first year was an elective. It was on film, television, so I got in history, so I got a little bit introduced to some of the classics that we'll most likely talk about or touch upon, that you always hear about, but you never got down to sit down. Like Casablanca, that's the first time I've ever seen anything from Casablanca in person, was in that class. But then he even jumped to like, I wouldn't call it modern, but a little bit later, like 1980s, Batman, the 89 Batman movie came up in our class. And I was like, wow, we do this in class? I'm like, this is really good. But I would say just a movie fan. Just a movie fan.
Hell yeah. Love to hear it. Mikey, what about you?
Okay, well, who doesn't like movies, right?
Yeah, right? A psychopath.
You know.
People who put in milk before the cereal.
Okay,
Interesting.
I won't comment on that. I would be judged if I speak the truth. Okay. Movies. I think what I love about film is being pulled into a different reality. I think that's common why like we all like video games too, right? Is kind of takes you out of the space and puts you in somewhere else, whether it be whatever the genre, right? And I think that's what I really like about it. And I think over time, you start to mature and start to learn more about just life and see how life is kind of, I guess, perceived in movies and just portrayed in movies. You start to kind of relate to some films more. And when I started in college, I did like a film study class because it was part of our program, and it really made me look at how narrative structure is put together in film and how a lot of things are really centralized around characters, right? And we'll go more into it later about like my thoughts on character development, but I think it's those type of aspects of film is really important, and you see it in all genres, right? Like I watch almost every genre except horror. Like I'm
what?
Whoa.
Okay, so like, all right, okay, so let me explain. Mixed main. I am a wuss.
So am I.
I know, but like I'm more of a wuss.
Ouch! I know. Wait, hold on. I'm joking.
The only time I've ever
right
watched
window.
movies... Oh my god. The only time I've ever watched like horror movies is like when I want to cuddle with a girl or something. That's the only time.
Wow,
You
dude, hold
gotta
him.
act fit, you know. But it's like other than that, I'm like fuck that. But yeah, it's funny because like saying all this, like I actually almost went into like working on VFX and film, and I decided to just pivot into the games industry instead. But you know, a lot of my close friends that I went to school with, and you know, connections I've made during, you know, while working in the industry, like they all work at these are the biggest VFX feature houses in the world, like what Disney, Pixar, Sony, DreamWorks, etc. It's crazy to see like how widespread they are. But to kind of wrangle it all back, I think something I love about it is with film is just characters too. And it wasn't until I started working with actors on the stage, stage meaning like the mocap stage, and directing them, it changed my perspective on how actors go about their study, and I definitely like developed a higher appreciation for their craft and how they bring characters to life, right? And then sometimes it's like once that camera is like on your ones, and like action, sometimes it's just like a switch. It's crazy. So yeah, just movies just really bring out a different aspect in people, especially specifically actors, right? And it to me just crazy how you could go from being Jonah Hill from Superbad to Jonah Hill in like Moneyball. Right? It's crazy.
Snap. Agreed. It's funny because you and Joe really touched on, or like quickly touched on topics that I'm looking forward to kind of like picking both everyone's brains about. But Lester, let us know what do movies mean to you, bud?
Oh man, movies are part of my DNA. I think the very first movie that really gave me a really intense reaction was Enter the Dragon.
Ooh.
Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
Nice.
So I don't know, man. I'm like, grade 5. I'm the only Asian kid in my elementary school, getting bullied because I'm the only Asian kid. And my dad takes me aside and he's basically like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to my friend. His name's Bruce Lee. And I'm like, who's Bruce Lee? Right? So now we go on this movie marathon, and you have this like badass Asian dude who's just jacked to shit, and he's just kicking ass like 100 guys at a time. And it gave me sort of this it was like twofold. It's like, wow, there's an Asian guy at the helm of a movie and he's like owning it. Secondly, I had found out through my own like obsession with him afterward was that he wasn't just acting, he was like a full-blown martial artist, but then he was also writing and directing at the same time. And then over the course of high school, I was sort of like a jack of all trades within the arts, and by the time I graduated, I was like, well, I don't really want to specialize in one thing. Is there something where I can do kind of everything? And that was film production. So I ended up at York University and got my undergrad there in film and video production. Shout out to all the profs over there. Just really amazing talent, and people to learn from. But it was really during my time there where I really began to have an appreciation for the technical aspect of the craft. I feel like, when you're in filmmaking, well, maybe not just filmmaking, but storytelling, narrative-based content creation, anything of that sort, documentary even, there is a very there's a science to it, like where your beats are going to land, how does the music create a swell to give you that feeling. Some of the best movies are the ones where you can kind of walk away from and think about for weeks, months. You think about it in the shower, you think about it when you're taking a shit, like you're you know what I mean? Like,
both in the bathroom, but hopefully anyways.
But they stay with you. and they become a part of you. And then, as you know, Mikey mentioned, you can revisit a movie at different times in your life, and they're a completely different movie to you. Like an example of that for me is like Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. It's like, hey, here's this guy who's just kind of like bumbling through life, ha ha ha. You watch that after you lose someone in the family, and suddenly the death scenes in that film hit way harder. You experience grief in a way you've never experienced it before, and I think movies have that magical quality. Not to sound too cliche here, but it's a window into the human experience, and a way to not only just reflect on your life, but also you're reflecting on like humanity at the same time, and the human experience at the same time. And because of that, that's why it's kind of like one of the best places to be, like that space. Like that's why we gravitate. That's why there is a theater experience. You need to be around people to feed off that joy, or that terror, or whatever it is. But there's that communal, social, emotional aspect of it that I think is very unique specifically to that space. But yeah,
Can I interject there?
Yeah.
Fact that you brought Forrest Gump, it's crazy because Forrest Gump is probably one of the earliest like actual drama films I watched, like in my earliest memory. And I actually watched that back not too long ago, a few years back recently. But when I first watched that, the parts I remember the most is obviously the parts where he's running and you see all his actual like what do you call it, the knee brace and all that metal fall. I just remember these weird, these not weird, but these moments as a kid of I still remember like the moment when he was in what do you call it, that hotel room with those women, and he got out and the guy fell out of his chair. Was that Buscemi? No, that wasn't Buscemi. That was I forget his name, but
Gary Sinise. That's Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
He's playing Lieutenant Dan, and
Lieutenant Dan.
Dude, I have the whole movie basically memorized with all the voices. Like, I love that movie so much.
It's so like these are moments I remembered as a kid, but when I watched it back, it's like I'm noticing other moments that kind of like you just said relate to me more. The deaths that happen, like Bubba, man, like that one that hurt more than I felt when I initially watched it as a kid. Right, like those, because of like we both said, like we can relate to different thematics at different stages of our lives, right? And I think that's the beauty about film. You just revisit something and have a totally different perception of it after you've experienced life a lot more.
Yeah, and it's not just that. I find that you watch something, but you're not just remembering the movie. You're remembering who you were the first time you watched it. You remember the popcorn you were eating at the time. You remember the friend circle you had at the time. You remember maybe what girlfriend you had at the time. You know what I mean? Like, your life was completely different the first time you watched it, and then you revisit it again and you're just like, man, another example for me is like 500 Days of Summer. Before I watched that when I was like 23, and here I am siding with Tom Hansen. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, and I'm like, yeah, man, like Summer's a bitch. How dare she? Da 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 da. And then you watch it again after you're married, and you're like, no, she was pretty upfront from the beginning, and you're very selfish.
Perspective, all of that, like
you know what I mean? That's it,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say the opposite could be too as well. Like, there's something if I had watched it when I was younger, I would have been like, I wouldn't have picked up on stuff or it hit me. But then watching it as an older adult, I'm like, fuck. I've been there, man. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about this again later, but like the Charlie Brown movie, the one that was in 3D, Peanuts movie, that hit hard, man, because Charlie Brown was trying his best for that girl. He learned to dance and everything, and he was heartbroken. And then that scene where Snoopy just like on his shoulder because he knows he's sad. I'm like, oh, my boy. I know. I know, I've been there. Like, but if I was like a younger person or a kid watching it, I would be like, yeah, whatever. But like, legit hit me. But anyways,
That's that. Yeah, that's interesting. I with this, like with us talking about this, I want to know like what movies really like made lasting impressions on you guys. I guess like actually I don't have. I want to know your guys first. So Joe, like, what was when you were younger? What movie actually just kind of clicked and was just like, this is me, or this is what I love. I'm gonna watch this 50 million times in the next fucking day.
it wasn't in theaters though. But a lot of the Disney stuff we grew up with. My mom would like one day she came up with a shit ton of videos, and I just like, and there was a lot of movies like I'd never seen before because I never went to the theater for them. But like the one that stuck to me as a kid growing up was is it Rockadoodle? Rockadoodle, do you guys remember that? It was about it's part in the real world at the beginning. The kid gets transferred to the fictional world of the cartoon he likes. It stars a rooster named Chanticleer. He's like a Elvis stand-in, and his whole shtick was that he would crow at not crow. He would what is it crow? Is that what you call it? Where they cock-a-doodle doo, whatever that is. You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, yeah. The rooster would make the noise when the sun rises. Crows. So his whole shtick was that the sun would only come up if he crowed. But in the movie, he decides to become a movie star instead, and so he disappears, and then it's just raining nonstop. So the kid, who's now a cat, goes with all his friends to figure that out. And like, even now, I can't remember the exact details of the movie, but like that, I remember that stuck with me, that movie, because of just the animation, the story, and then like the whole turnaround of his character, and it was part musical, I think. It was part musical. Don't quote me on that, but like I remember that movie. Like till the day I die.
I looked it up. Yeah, part musical. Characters look a little unusual.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, but to its credit, they animated it really well, from what I remember. Like the whole thing, and I don't know who the stars were because I was a kid, but like I'm pretty sure they were famous people. But either way, that's the first one I can remember that really stuck with me. On top of, I don't know why, but Robin Hood Men in Tights. My dad took me to see that when I was a kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, what was his thinking? But that first scene where they do the raps, that's just in my head. And then the dancing sequence with we're men in tights. Tights. Like, I could sing that whole thing. If you remember Forrest Gump, Lester, I remember that fucking sequence. I could sing it if I wanted to at this point.
Dude, I think Men in Tights is like the other movie that I have memorized. Like I've committed to memory. Did you say Abe Lincoln? No, I didn't say Abe Lincoln. I said Abe Lincoln. Hold the reins, man.
Tights? Yes. Alive? Yes.
All right, what about you, Mikey?
Okay, well, there are two, and it's funny because like one of these is something I always tell people, especially my students, because I teach animation, and I always talk about when you create an animation, the goal is to make your audience feel, and if you've achieved if you are able to have your audience feel something emotionally, whether it's sadness, hatred, love, empathy, you've achieved your goal, right? And the one thing that I always bring up is Lion King, Mufasa's death. Like,
Jesus Christ, way to bring down the mood. No joke.
There's nothing that hits me, like, even to this day. There's only two things that consistently always make me like teary-eyed and sometimes bald, depending on the mood. Is Mufasa's death is one of them. And I remember seeing it the first time. I'm like, it's the first time I've seen death on screen, and it was so traumatizing, right? You see just the cinematography, like I'm saying cinematography in a freaking animated Disney film, but just seeing him, the death, like you see the top, it's essentially kind of like the Anakin Obi-Wan is like, I have the upper whatever, but you kind of see Scar and you just long live the king, and you see
Jeremy
Mufasa
Irons.
Dude, Jeremy Irons
Right.
kills it. And after you see the just that pure fear in Mufasa's eye, who was being portrayed as this father who's there for you. You never saw fear, but you saw the fear in that moment in Mufasa. And then you see him going, no, falling into the herd, and you see that Zully shot, I think, of Simba, where he goes, oh no, the Zully shot was from the Stampede, sorry. But you see the shot of Simba just reacting, and then him slowly, it just the pacing just hits the flatness to it, and it's all somber.
I got
And
shivers.
then all of a sudden,
I got shivers, Mikey. You get me
he's
shivers
like,
again.
what just happened? And he walked over. It's like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know death like that. Like, I'm a kid. This is like what, 94, 93?
Yeah, 94.
I was like only like 6 years old at the time. So then I see someone walk over, and is just like, I'm feeling it right now. It's like just
you can hear it in your head, can't you, Dad?
right? Oh,
Dad,
Lester.
you gotta wake up.
Hey,
We gotta go home.
okay, no, but like honestly, like since that moment, it's just like holy shit, like this is different. Like, and then that kind of, to transition to the next film is like Toy Story. That changed my life because like I loved animation, but seeing like if Joe knows this well, Reboot really inspired me too, but Toy Story was really the first thing I ever seen where it's like, what is this? And I still remember in grade 7, it was like they're like, what would you want to do when you're older, when you grow up? And I put 3D animator because of Toy Story, and voila, that's what I am today, right? And it's like that changed my life because it kind of set me on this trajectory of, oh, I want to be a paleontologist because of Jurassic Park, or I want to go to space and be an astronaut or whatever.
Not because of Apollo 13, right?
Let's not talk about that. I don't know. I just had this infatuation with space. I don't know why, but I still do to this day. But those are the two things that really kind of had an impact on me and personally. And just one last shout out. I loved comic books. I drew a lot growing up, drawing comics, and seeing Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and the first X-Men on the big screen was kind of like, what the hell? Kind of a crazy moment, and that kind of set off the whole superhero on the big screen wave.
So just want to interject about the Toy Story thing. It's only years. Again, it's one of those perspective shifts where Sid was like mixing and matching his figures. I do that for Gunpla, so I kind of feel for Sid now. Like, Sid, you were very creative, but back then I was like, you're a monster. But now I'm like, I feel it, Sid. I can feel the creative juices going.
Dude, you watch Toy Story, like, now that I'm a dad, I'm watching Toy Story, and I'm seeing Sid, the way he acts, the way he treats his toys, and I'm like, dude, I feel really bad for you. Like, your family life must be, like, really rough right now, that's where I'm coming from now. It's, like, this really weird place to be, and, seeing him, like, I guess he's, like, a garbage man in, like, the third movie, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think so. That was him. Yeah,
I think so. I think that was him. But it's just kind of like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with garbage men. Look, it's got a pension and it's a full-time gig, and you can, keep your house with a job like that. But I mean, it's just like, you watch these films, and like we talked about, they become who you are in a way. Like, it becomes a determining factor. I mean, like, there's the other films, like, for me, it was like Star Wars and The Matrix. Like, I mean, I have like a list of movies depending on what age I was. Like, as a preteen, it was definitely Enter the Dragon, Rumble in the Bronx, Titanic. You know what I mean? I put the diamond in the coat. I put the coat on her. Like, these really random lines just kind of stick with you forever. Then in my teens, it's like revisiting Star Wars, watching The Matrix for the first time. That just kind of opens you up to Japanese cinema, anime in a way that sort of wasn't part of your zeitgeist before that, at least in North America. Like Mikey mentioned, Spider-Man, Saving Private Ryan. Oof, that had a big impact on me. That was a good one. And then of course, Fight Club. Everyone loves Fight Club. But then
We don't
yeah,
talk about
like,
Fight Club.
we don't talk about that one. But yeah, when you consider, after having gone to film school and stuff like that, you kind of revisit things that were sort of in your peripherals that you didn't really pay attention to until you gained a certain level of, I don't know, movie experience leveling up, that you can finally appreciate them the way they were intended. So basically the entire Ghibli catalog at that point. And then you go to auteurs like Richard Linklater in the Before trilogy. Really, really amazing movies that just, they just reach you in a certain way. So, but yeah,
it's actually it's interesting that you bring this up, because this kind of segues into where I want to lead into. But like the history of cinema, and with that being said, film school, you kind of acquire a new taste for things. You gain some knowledge, you kind of understand specific cinematography techniques, choice of pacing, so on and so forth. So like let's do a little bit of a deep dive into the history. And I want to obviously talk into silent films going into talkies and our golden age, the classics, right? We have the like Nosferatus, Metropolis, Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I really want to ask this because do you guys care about classics? Because being fully honest, I can appreciate where we came from, but I can't necessarily go back and rewatch Citizen Kane without falling asleep. So
yeah. Okay, full disclosure, in film school they played Citizen Kane and I fully fell asleep.
Right.
Lecture.
Thank you.
I
So
feel
boring.
terrible doing that. Like I remember there was
But
just
should you?
this
Because
really
that was
amazing. There's this really amazing tracking shot that just goes over everything, like the entire neighborhoods. It's just this really extended crane shot, and I don't think I made it to the end of the crane shot. This is like the first 5 minutes of the movie or something like that. I felt terrible, because you're in that space, you're in film school at York, and it's very hard to get into, and it's a privileged space, I guess, like if you manage to make it there, and you're supposed to appreciate these things. And I felt like an imposter, I would say, the first few years being in that program, because I just didn't like a lot of the movies. You could read about them ad nauseum in essays and yada yada yada, but I didn't begin to appreciate them until later, maybe after film school. So I do appreciate. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I definitely appreciate it now. Like Nosferatu, I think, is one of the ones we wanted to talk about, and I feel like my studying of that movie was sort of instrumental in helping me understand, I guess, physicality and the language of using your body for visual expression in film. Like how you move tells a story. It's the same way in a martial arts movie. They're doing these amazing choreographies, but if you are well versed in the maneuvers and why they're doing it, like full disclosure, like I'm a martial artist. I'm a Wing Chun practitioner, and I can watch the Ip Man movies and be like, oh, that's a really weird decision he made in that fight. Why would he use that and not this? Or oh, this shot is incredible because it perfectly encapsulates the I guess the main goal of what it means to fight in this particular discipline. Like all the parameters of the fight are structured within a certain way. The language of the cinematography and the camera angles perfectly communicate that. But to an average moviegoer, you're just like, oh yeah, it's a really nice like overhead shot with them falling down a staircase. But you watch that as a martial artist, you're like, oh man, this is an excellent showing of centerline theory. So yeah, in terms, like, going back to what we were talking about, which is like, do you have an appreciation for the classics? Yes, with an asterisk. Like Very useful going back to understand film on a very, I guess, early level. It's kind of the same way people go back to studying, Super Mario Brothers for game design, right?
Mhm.
Like, you understand how to play the game, you understand the rules of that game in the first 10 seconds. You see a block, you jump. There's a turtle walking towards you. Do you jump over it or do you get hit? Oh, you get hit? Okay, you can't get hit by turtles, And it just keeps going and it just teaches you. And by the end of the level, you understand Super Mario Brothers and what's required of you as a player, right? I think early movies are kind of the same way. If you go back to it and appreciate the craft you probably need I guess an understanding of the technology that was available to them at the time, and what was evolving and how these movies are being presented. It kind of gives you a greater insight into, okay, how can I take these tools, understand the totality of it? What does that mean in the modern age? How can I apply it? How can I push the envelope, right? Yeah, don't really know where else I was going with that, but
That's a really important point, Lester, is evolution, right? And everything's all relative to the time period because, nowadays, like, I'll tell you, like, kids these days are spoiled by what they see in cinema, right? It's crazy. But back then, we're talking, like, for me, I'll be honest, I didn't watch much of the classics from the 40s, 50s until I went into film study class, right? Like our film class, to really understand like what's the importance of these films, right? And I've watched, like, thankfully our professor at this time let us watch a couple Kurosawa films, for example, Seven Samurai and Rashomon, right? And it's like we had to break it down. Yeah, it's like, to some people may be boring, but you really start to understand, especially with Kurosawa, how he used establishing shots, how he told the narrative, and also used a lot of the symbolism too in his films. And just going back to like all these classic films, right? These films built the foundation of what the standard of cinema is today, right? And then you got to see as technology advances and evolves, the how films are today it runs in parallel. Like how films are created today runs in parallel to that technology, right? And at the same time, they're creating more techniques off that, right? It's like, think about the computer chip, right? Imagine our phone here, right? The amount of technology in this one phone surpasses anything. Like, I think this is more than what they use to
Android.
You shut your mouth, okay? But the amount of technology in this one phone was more than it took, from my understanding, to send the freaking space shuttle into space in what was it, the 50s? I forget. That's just crazy, right?
Yep.
So just thinking about that and where we are today, it's like you can't really have an appreciation for what we have today until you look back on what they had to work with in the past. And I think that's what makes me have a respect for it. Will I go out and be like, oh, let's turn on a Kurosawa film? No, I won't. I'll be honest, I won't. But you don't need to in order to have respect and appreciation for how great these films were at that time.
I think that's a very valid point. Honestly speaking, I guess my experience with this is like I surprisingly was not introduced to these things through like film school or anything. Like at some point in my life, I just managed to watch The Sound of Music as a child and realized that I did not like it. But with that being said, like I think the thing is that we can all understand the idea of appreciation for it.
Right.
And a lot of people in chat, fucking Window, Papas, like a lot of people kind of understand that, like, yes, like a lot of techniques, a lot of things that we see today were created because of these pieces from back in the day. But overall, as a package, like they don't hold up. Certain things do. Like a few were mentioned in chat. Personally, I think Casablanca still holds up to this day as a film that can be interesting for somebody who, hasn't seen it before. Things of the sort. What about you, Joe?
I was gonna say, like, everyone's kind of echoing what everyone's mentioning here. I can appreciate the old stuff, and you can see it in like today's media too, with it's referenced, like the original Nosferatu is referenced in so many other like vampire properties, or just on a like Family Guy might reference it like on the side, like there's a Nosferatu clip. It's like you may never have seen it, but you know what it is because that's how ingrained those classics are in at least reference in reverence as well to society as a whole. Same thing with Casablanca. I know it was a great movie for its time, and I still appreciate like the film noir style of it, which I guess was just normal film for them. But like noir, film noir, that kind of aspect to it, like it's still very appealing in a visual sense. Would I sit down and watch it? I don't think so. But I still can respect the fact that it was made, and because of it, and other movies like it, we got to the stuff we're getting now. Which, by the way, some modern stuff not that great either, but we'll talk about that later. But just
hell yeah. Well, actually, we could work our way right into it. Y'all are killing it. All three of you have made mention during your
before we move forward, I just want to say that I'm a big fan of The Sound of Music. I think it's an incredible movie.
Oh my god, it's so boring.
I don't know, man. Like, if I watched it. No, this is a true story. Like,
I watched it 4 times at 4 different points in my life, and I fell asleep through all of them. I don't know, man. I think it falls to the problem of that era of movies where we didn't cut down. We didn't edit down our scripts. I'm sorry.
Dude, okay,
pacing it matters.
No, it totally does, and I agree with that aspect. But if you look at the film as a whole, what the message is, what it's trying to say, when we consider what's happening in our modern age, not to get political or anything, but the movie is actually quite relevant now. Maybe now more than ever in its messaging. And that, for me, makes it an incredible watch in the modern age, like especially with what's going on right now.
I don't know. I think the problem with that is that intention does not equate to execution, and unfortunately, execution, I think, was subpar at best. But the messaging in itself, like the story, it's valid. It's something that exists throughout time to a certain extent, can be related to across time, obviously when you're thinking on a grander scale. But God, I will fall asleep every single time.
I will agree with you with Citizen Kane. But this one I will respectfully disagree.
Oh, of course, we like what we like, right?
We like.
When we get down to later topics, I will bring up some movies that you guys will think I am a dumbass.
Me too. Don't.
Exactly.
I got somewhere people like, you like that?
We have our guilty pleasures. We have things that just kind of tickle or pickle in different ways that sometimes the current partner doesn't do. With that being said, I do want to get into, or at least do a quick dive into the emergence of new tech, obviously within the industry, creating new fantastic experiences. CGI. All of you have touched upon it in our little classic bit. What do you think? CGI is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What did it well and what didn't?
God, I'll kick it off.
No, kick it off.
Do it. It's your bread and butter.
I really want to hear your opinion on this.
For me, the biggest or the best example of showing practical effects versus digital effects is OG Jurassic Park versus the new Jurassic World. There's something so inauthentic in what I'm seeing now with Jurassic World. Mind you, the stupid ass mutation storylines, and ignore that. I think there's something so authentic about the way Jurassic Park I guess was executed as a whole from as a film, but in terms of the practical effects, there's something that just makes it feel more frightening to me. Like just seeing even the T-Rex for the first time is still one of the scariest things you could see in a film, especially at the time. It's like, holy shit, it's the first time we're seeing an actual Tyrannosaurus Rex come to screen, right, and look real for the most part, right? And I think they did a good job of using the technology at the time to enhance the visual appearance in some aspects where they couldn't, they weren't using actual practical effects. But especially the new trailer of what I saw of the new Jurassic World with Scarlet, I looked at it, I'm like, this is gonna have $1 billion revenue at the box office, but it just seems so to me.
And just like the Transformer movies. Wait, what? No, go on.
Oh damn!
Good.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
It's honestly that it's like there's when good VFX is done well. For example, Godzilla -1. That was insane.
Yes.
That was insane. Holy shit!
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. That's digital VFX done absolutely well on a small budget, and then you have these $100 million films with like 20 VFX houses working on it, and then like half of it looks like doo-doo, and I'm like, oh. Anyways, that's my spiel on it.
I was gonna say, with Jurassic Park specifically, I think why it worked. I'm okay for CGI, don't get me wrong, but only when it complements the practical effects. If you're solely dipping into CGI and just it's a CGI monstrosity, I'm trying to think of an example. I have no faith in that How to Train Your Dragon remake because I feel like that's...
really?
I think it's pure CGI from the looks of it, which makes sense. I don't know how you would make that realistic, but like Jurassic Park specifically, they had the robotic T-Rex for those shots they needed to do, but they supplemented it and somewhat adjusted it as well with the CGI, and it kind of blended together real nice. That, I think, is absolutely fantastic use of it. Now, what we're seeing in a lot of, especially Marvel movies, it's just a pure... Or DC. No, I'm going to go DC. DC, it's a pure CGI fest. And you're just sitting there like, that looks the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen in my entire life right now. Like, I'll give you a good example. The motion blur with Superman moving really fast looks absolutely fake in the original movie. I love Henry Cavill, but that was the one thing I could tell. And the fight scenes. And then when you look at, I will give James Gunn credit, the super speed motion he did in the trailer that I saw, not bad. Not bad. I think, again, they probably found some kind of mix of like reality with CGI to make that look as good as it did, but it has to look like, I know we're in that that uncanny valley of it, somewhat real but not real, but you can tell it's not real. You need to get to that spot where I can't tell that was CGI. And I think Jurassic Park is a perfect example where they blended it nicely. So I'm for CGI as long as it complements rather than completely replace.
Well, just real quick on that Superman point. Sorry, Lester, just one thing. Superman, Man of Steel, the fight scene with the the people from Krypton.
Yeah,
that was CG, but that was also very stylized, and that's why I really enjoyed that fight. When it is done and it's executed with a style in mind that is not trying to be something else and is trying to be something it's execute something it's trying to be, and that's right. It's fake, right? It's like the way they attack each other. It felt like Dragon Ball-esque, but it felt genuine to what they were trying to achieve. Just one more there.
Yeah, I want to agree with that, Mikey. Man of Steel, I think, is my major argument that we can still hold out hope for a good Dragon Ball Z live action.
What do you mean, Dragon Ball Evolution? Were you not? No.
Wait, sorry. Wait. Hold on a second.
We don't talk about that.
Wait, there was another Dragon Ball movie, like a live action Dragon Ball movie, like that happened. Are we sure we want to go there? Like, I don't think.
I don't think that's been erased off the face of
it. Was it James Masterson? He also doesn't want to remember it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I
literally chatted to the dude about it.
Dragon Ball Evolution is a Mandela Effect movie. Don't worry.
I have a funny story about the Dragon Ball Evolution movie.
Okay, go
actually,
for it.
I went to see it on opening night because why not? I swear to God, I totally did, and we knew it was going to be bad. There were we went to Scotiabank Theater downtown. Was it Scotiabank Theater, the one on Dundas, right?
Yeah.
I went with. Is that Scotiabank?
Young and Dundas.
Young and Dundas is
AMC now.
Yeah.
It's AMC now. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went. So we went to AMC, and we saw it there. I went with 3 other friends. The theater was empty except for another group that was like sitting near the front. I think there was 4, and there was a guy. I swear to God, he was in full Piccolo garb. Like he was fully cosplayed.
Yes, sir.
He was green. He had the cape. He was about 5 foot. He was the shortest Piccolo I've ever seen in my life.
Oh no.
God bless him. He had the turban and everything. And
Bender.
so he so they were sitting in front of us, and we were sitting at the very back, and we had, I hope I don't get booked for this, but we snuck in alcohol and we made it a drinking game. And I swear to God, we were so hammered when we got out of that movie. I don't even remember half of it, but I do know that I had more fun watching that movie than I had any right to.
So then it's a good movie, in your opinion, because you had a good time.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of alcohol. like we had so many drinking games that it was just like, okay, if they have to say King Piccolo every time there's a bad movie plot point, we have to drink. If they mess up the final Kamehameha, we have to down our drinks. And I think we all downed our drinks at the end of that. Like it was a great time.
Oh
I had a
man, I'm
great
crying.
time.
You know what? We did that too. Did we not do a drinking game? I swear to God, we did a drinking game for that. We didn't get trashed, but we did a drinking game every time. Like something, I forgot what our terms were, but like it was bad. The movie was something.
Yeah, but so I will concede, yes, Dragon Ball Evolution does exist, and it's a terrible, 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 terrible movie. But I have a fond memory of it, so I'm sort of like torn in how I feel. I'm never gonna watch it again. By the way, I'm never gonna go back. I don't want to ruin that.
What?
Memory. I don't want to do it. I can't.
Yeah, Joe,
I can't.
we
It was such
rewatched
a
it
good
recently,
time.
didn't
Yeah, it
we?
was such a good
That's what I mean. Like it's. I feel like if you do it in the same context of a drinking game, you'd still have fun. But if you're just watching straight up, I get it. Like
no,
I would not.
I can't do it sober. No, I would never watch that sober. Never. Never would I ever.
But going on to the point about the stylized stuff, to add on to your guys' point, I see what you're saying, because like in that context, the fight scenes in Evolution were complete garbage. But if you look at something that did it stylized, like what's the Axe movie with the guy from Shaolin Soccer?
Fuck. Oh my God.
Kung Fu Hustle. Kung Fu Hustle.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
There we go.
I
Like-
love that film.
Like they did that.
so
That
good.
whole thing is stylized, and the CG is done like cartoon style. But like that's his point. It's supposed to be done like a Looney Tunes bit where he's running from the landlord lady, and that works. Like that absolutely works for me in that sense. So I get it. I get what you're saying now with the Man of Steel. If it's stylized, totally understand.
Absolutely, like stylization like matters so much, or else to a certain point you cannot suspend your disbelief. You know, you just see bad CG, and then you end up getting like The Thing 2011. But
if you get good
that
and
was-
stylized, just real quick, is Sin City. Just gonna put that out there. Like how
Ooh,
they
yeah,
did that.
yeah, Sin City's
Yeah.
great. Sin City's fantastic. Cool. And I wanna touch on this real quick. How we consume our movies nowadays. Crazy, isn't it? Like Joe mentioned it. Like the theater experience is, at least in my opinion, I also agree, is it if I'm really excited to see something. But also I lean on, I like how like we have access to our movies now. I am watching more movies than I ever have been like in the rest of my life right now because of FBI, don't listen, because of downloading legal movies. But
It's CSIS here. First of all, it's CSIS in Canada, not
it's thesis. Oh, I don't know. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, like I feel like if I'm really excited for a title, it doesn't matter where I'm watching it. Like I'm happy about it. But what about you guys? Do you save your favorite movies for the theater? Or are you just willing to watch anything at home, buck naked with a bucket of chicken?
Also, I just realized for everyone in chat, spoilers for everything we're talking about.
Okay, let's be real here. If you came onto a movie podcast not expecting any spoilers, oof.
Because like I feel like Mikey has a very similar mindset to me, that we want to watch it in the theater first and then afterwards whatever. Because like again, I say it's an experience. It probably comes from when I was a kid going to the movie with my parents to go watch something like when it first comes out, right? And it's like even popcorn. I know George, our other roommate, has figured out how to do movie popcorn at home, but like the movie popcorn tastes different. It hits different than when you make it at home. Like, I don't like. I can get why people don't want to go because the cramped seats or kids yelling and shit. But like, it's the whole idea of it's a screen in front of me and I had to go out to go watch it. Like, it just adds to the ambiance of watching a movie. Personally.
Yeah, like I think Joe and I, we have the same tradition, but with different parties. Is with me, it's MCU and DC usually. I have a couple friends that we usually, like for example, Captain America. We just watched it, and it's just a tradition thing, right? So like that's how we, or at least I, consume my Marvel appetite. But in the past, like there are certain films that I'm like, I need to see that in theaters because it's an experience. And for example, like something that I know is going to, where I know sound is going to play a huge role. Like for example, like Top Gun Maverick is one example where I'm like, damn, I need to watch that, but unfortunately I didn't because it was like at the time where I was still trying to, just trying to isolate because of COVID stuff. Anyways,
yeah, that was still like
which was tough.
After, yeah.
But other than that, it's. Like, for example, another one coming up, I'll mention it later, and the most anticipated is the F1 film, because I'm a big F1 guy. Dude, like, that looks amazing. The sound design in that, I'm sure, is going to be absolutely insane. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But other than that, like, kind of like what Raven said, is it's kind of consuming as much as I can via just digital streaming platforms. Right now, Netflix, obviously, and Disney Plus, Amazon Prime,
and if you have like a solid home setup, like like you could still get essentially everything. And there's the fear in my heart that sometimes I watch a movie in the theater and I think it's better than it is because of the theater experience. Like, just saying,
just secretly spraying gas that makes you like it more. No,
but like also there's something to be said, like Lester brought it up like at the start during the introductions, but the theater experience is not just watching a movie. It's also a communal experience. Like, you're sharing it with everyone else, especially when you do like day one movies. Like, I remember watching Scott Pilgrim day one in Toronto, and the opening scene is in Toronto, Ontario, and the theater goes fucking wild. Like, dude, in reality, Scott Pilgrim is like, I'd give it like a soft 8, 7.5 kind of deal. But like, that experience of Scott Pilgrim made it a 9, 10 for me.
Right.
That's just like Marvel, right? It's like with Endgame, dude. When the Captain America moment, like, holy shit. And then after the final, like the Sam's on your left, and everyone's like, oh, you hear everyone freaking out.
Yeah.
And then there's this crescendo of everything. It was probably we're gonna go into like moments and all that later, but this one,
we're here. Talk about it.
It's that freaking explosion of everyone when you hear Cap go, Avengers! After you hear him say, assemble. And after you hear Thor going, and then I've never heard a theater scream so loud in unison. My body shivered. I was like, this is an out-of-body experience, and everyone's experiencing it with me. Everyone had the same level of passion for this one moment. This is literally like, what, 20 years or however long in the making to get to this one moment before the unfortunate fall off of the MCU. But with that said, it's like those moments is like, you'll never forget that. You'll never forget it.
And in reality, like Endgame's a good movie, but like, it's not that great. Lester, what about you? How do you consume your movies?
Well, I think it's changed. Definitely the pandemic had a lot to do with that shift. I think pre-pandemic, I was going out to see as many movies as I could in theater, whether it was with my wife or with friends, because it was kind of safe to go out in those days. When the pandemic hit, I really invested in building out like a really good home setup so I could kind of enjoy these movies at home. So I went out of my way. I got myself a projector. I got like a pull down screen and everything. So I did my best to recreate the theater experience at home. Even if it was just for one person and me alone in a dark room, That's all I needed, right? So I could go back to a Kurosawa film and be like, holy shit, this is great. Just because of the size of, like, you know, a 100-inch pull-down screen, and you're sitting 4 feet from it. You know, like you're almost recreating that film experience solo. Yes, I do miss watching it in the company of people, but, you know, moving out of the pandemic, I became a dad, and it became really hard to just go out. You know, if it's not having the time or the energy to go out to see something, then it's the fear of bringing home something like someone like COVID or whatever. I mean, the last theater experience I had to fight for it. Like, I had to go out to I think it was like an 11 p.m. screening, IMAX screening of Dune 2, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a great movie theater experience. Da 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 da. I had a fucking migraine walking out of that. There was just every goddamn 5 minutes, it's like, and it's like fucking midnight, and I'm like, I can't wait to leave because my brain just can't handle this right now. It was a fun movie, but oh my god, I wish, maybe it's just my old man ears, I don't know, but you know, the movie theater experience has changed. I mean, the last great experience I had was, I think it was John Wick 4. Oh man, saw that opening night. So good, so fun. Just, I was laughing hysterically the whole time. It was great. I had such a good time with Donnie Yen and all that, you know, kicking ass. It's just a great time. But yeah, like, as long as I can have an experience, I think that's really what I go out for. Like, if I'm going to watch things just to kind of keep up, then, you know, I'm totally fine with the streaming experience. I would say 95% of what I'm consuming is happening streaming or borrowing from the internet and placing in my Plex server, you know, to watch at home.
Ah, yes. The
Plex
server.
Plex.
The good old Plex server.
You know what I mean. You know how this goes. You know how
we
this
need
goes.
we need to chat after stream.
You know, so I would say 95% of my media consumption is happening that way. And, you know, again, becoming a dad recently, I get like 40 minutes of free time at night to do stuff, you know, so it changes the kinds of movies you want to watch. I actually still haven't seen Christopher Nolan's latest flick with Cillian Murphy. The name escapes me.
Oppenheimer.
I still haven't seen it yet because I want to devote the time to it. I want to just sit in it, but I just don't have the time. So I'm just kind of like banking all these like big movies I want to see for a time when I can really invest in it. I don't want to break it up in a 40-minute spurt. That's how I played Tears of the Kingdom. Like Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. It was the worst way to play a Zelda game ever. It was terrible. It was a great game, but it was like the worst way to play it. So
I'm dead. No, that's fair. It makes sense. Like, I lead on both. I consume at home all the time. I like the movie theater experience. I'm also one of those weirdos that will go to the movies by himself. Mostly...
No, totally not weird, man. Totally not.
Yeah,
weird.
I've done it too.
Yeah, thank God, because I do it all the time, and people always judge me. Like, I'll be in a new city with a bunch of friends, and they're like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go see this film by myself." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then, anyways, let us move on to I think a topic that we're all a little bit excited for. But let's do the genre deep dive. This is just an open discussion, but let's talk about some of our favorite genres. What genres do you guys turn to when you are watching something? What have you consumed the most? Me personally, I'm a big drama guy. I love dramas. I love mysteries and horror. But what about y'all?
Mikey, you want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay, well, I would say it really depends on where I'm at in what phase of my interest is at the time. So, for example, I was really big on hyperviolence and drama and anxiety-inducing films and all that stuff. And then I started working in news, and I was seeing some real shit every day. And then suddenly I didn't want to go home and watch that stuff. You know, like it was just too much. It changes the way you're viewing violence because you know it's real. So I stopped watching that stuff. And then, you know, during the pandemic, could not get through certain types of media. Like, could not get through The Last of Us Part 2 because they're living in this post-apocalyptic, you know, society where everyone's just, you know, disease-ridden with fun guys, I guess, you know, and you just can't sit through that because it just feels way too real and way too immediate. But nowadays, because I am very much in, like, I've gone back and I'm very much into my martial arts, I'm just watching martial arts movies all the time. And it's just a really fun way to, I guess, engage with the thing you're interested in at the time. You know, so, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at in terms of genres. Like, right now I'm in my martial arts phase.
Like old
Yeah.
school martial arts? Are we talking like Rikyo, or are we talking like more modern things?
Well,
Guys, if you got Rick, if you know what Rikyo is.
Actually, I haven't seen Rikyo. But you know, I love going back to Rumble in the Bronx. Like,
Yes,
basically,
fantastic.
you know,
So good.
any of Jackie Chan's like back catalog. Love all that shit. Legend of Drunken Master. I
no.
I was
eat that
Ooh,
shit
just
up.
going to say,
I just-
such a fucking
I
fantastic movie.
eat that shit up. And then, you know, like, of course, then there's the modern stuff, like the John Wicks, you know, just even from a storytelling perspective, very efficient storytelling, especially in that first movie. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really need a lot to know that this guy is kicking some serious ass and he can do it and everyone's afraid of him, and there's like this big world that they allude to in very cryptic sentences and awkward looks with each other. But yeah, I'd say that's like where I'm at right now. It's like I'm very much into martial arts films. You know, as you're exploring your own martial arts, and then going back to like something like Enter the Dragon, since I brought it up before, you begin to appreciate Bruce Lee not just as like a larger than life figure, or the legend of Bruce Lee, I suppose. You start to really understand the totality of maybe what he was doing from a sociological perspective, dealing with all the Hollywood racism, but then also simply him just being an incredibly gifted physical specimen that could just
Love those
kill
choice of
you
words.
so fast. You know, like he was just so extremely badass, and like, you know, and he was 32, right? At when Enter the Dragon came out, and then he died right before that movie came out. And I'm 38 now, and I'm like, he's like, what, 5'5", and I'm 5'7". He's like, oh, he's shorter than me, probably 40 pounds lighter than me, could still kick my ass through a wall if he really wanted to. You know what I mean? It's just, it humbles you in a way. Watching that stuff, so yeah, that's where I'm at.
I guess for myself, I lean more towards science fiction movies, fantasy movies, but with some action in there. But I've been known to dabble in like older movies that I might have watched in passing as a kid, and then really sit down and watch them. And like, that's what, like, My Cousin Vinny. If you guys have never seen My Cousin Vinny with Joe Pesci and a very young and gorgeous Marissa Tomei. Oh my god! Like,
I was gonna say, like I was surprised to not hear like 80s comedies.
no, that's right there. So I've done like not a backpedal, but a revisit to some of the older movies I grew up as a kid because I didn't appreciate them or get the little nuances. Like, I remember, this is gonna be like slightly adult themed, but I remember in one movie, like, as a kid, I was sitting there watching him, and then the guy mentioned a blowjob, and I go to my dad, "What's a blowjob?" And he's like, "It's something adult. Don't worry about it." the movie. That was the movie. I think Sleepers with Kevin Bacon and the kids that go to juvie, and then he like abuses them, and then when they grow up, they kill him in revenge. But like, he mentioned it, and I didn't understand what the fuck that was, and so I didn't get the context. But now I get the context. I'm like, that is horrible what he did to them. But like, my point being.
Joe back in the day was like, he wasn't that bad.
It's like, why did they kill Kevin Bacon over this blow? No. Anyways. But I'm more going back to like some old classics from the 80s and a little bit earlier. That my dad was a big fan of. Brewster's Millions was another one. I want to go back and watch See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Gene Wilder, and I forget the other guy's name. He was also in Brewster's Millions, but basically I like some old stuff now. But mostly science fiction and fantasy if I'm going for modern tastes of movies. What about you, Mikey?
Okay, so I guess the two main ones that I'm a sucker for, and not saying it's like a bad thing, but it's anything sci-fi and fantasy, kind of like Joe, right? So for example, there's kind of like the realistic sci-fi, and then there's more of kind of like the Ridley Scott type of sci-fi. So more like for me, like I love something about Interstellar. I just, for some reason, every time like I see it like on Netflix, I just have this urge to just click it just to have it on and watch it, because like I'm really into like astrophysics. Not too nerdy into it, but I have just anytime there's like even podcasts about astrophysics or space, like I'm tuned in, right? So I just have this thing for it, Arrival, for example. And then on the fantasy side, it's like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Matrix, right? And I guess kind of Jurassic Park. I'm not sure where that falls. It's kind of like sci-fi-ish. I don't know where it falls, but I just, anything that it's a suspension of a reality. And those are one of my first points. I really enjoy that, and then just enjoying the digital effects, but the story itself, the journey, and that kind of segues into also just watching dramas too, right? There's like something I watched until a little later in life that blew me away when I watched it when I was older is Good Will Hunting. Holy shit! And it's not also because I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. Like I just love most things, if not everything Robin Williams does in film. But he was like outstanding in it, and then Matt Damon, he was outstanding in it, and that's kind of like a young Matt Damon too, right? So like dramas like that I enjoy watching, but I always kind of like Lester. I like watching fighting movies, like Bruce Lee, of course. His whole filmography of what he's done, and really how he laid the foundation for how, like he created the fighting film genre, in my opinion, right? Of how it's shot, and then how that's evolved over time, and how Jackie Chan continued to grow that, and how I feel right now there's not really someone we can point to in our generation who's like, this is the martial artist guy of our generation. Because if it was like Bruce Lee's and it became Jackie Chan, and I don't know who it is now.
Honestly, I think the closest we got is probably Donnie Yen.
I was gonna say, like,
Donnie Yen Donnie Yen is kind of more like, he's a little younger than Jackie Chan, but there's a little overlap there, so they kind of share the same generation.
I guess so.
Yeah, but
I
like
love Ip Man. Oh, dude, when Ip Man came out, I'm like, this is the best shit.
Oh yeah.
And then they kind of jumped the shark with all the, like Ip Man 2 was good too, and then Ip Man 3, I'm like, all right, yeah, chill.
Hey,
and all the spin-offs of Ip Man.
How dare you?
Ip Man, and I don't know, like I wasn't feeling it as much because Donnie Yen, he was just OG to me, but even something I actually really liked was like Warrior. I'm not sure if you guys like that with Tom Hardy and what's his name?
Oh wait, I'm not even talking about that one. I'm talking about like the Warrior TV show. With like the Bruce Lee one. Do you guys like that one? I love that one.
I haven't watched it.
I never watched it,
unfortunately.
Oh man, I was sold on the cold open of that show.
Yeah.
God damn it! The penultimate episode of season 2 was called "Enter the Dragon." For God's sake, it was such a badass episode. Like the Bruce Lee references in that show are insane. Like there's a guy there named Bolo, for God's sake. Like
that's funny.
It's awesome. I highly recommend that. But
nice.
The martial arts is like in that, but great watch.
Yeah.
Well, let us move forward since we're talking about movies and mediums that we do like, or medias that we do like. Iconic movies, and we're just going to kind of blend the topic together. But what are some of your favorite movies? What are you going to die on a soapbox yelling to the top of the heavens about how much you fucking love this movie? Tell me. Mine, Dodgeball. Swear to fucking God, Joe knows Dodgeball is my shit. Objectively, it is not a very good movie, but it is.
I love Dodgeball.
Yeah, it is something I
good.
can watch 3 times in a single day and still not be bored of. But
Yeah.
like objectively good movies, like my favorites always kind of change just because, like, you know, you're watching something currently and it's stuck in your mind and now you just really like it. But my more recent favorites I'd put as like Parasite, fantastic.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I love Parasite a lot. Like I watched it with Joe, Magnus. I watched it with Magnus. Later that night, managed to find a copy on the internet, watched it again, and then the very next day, watched it twice in a row. I love that movie fully and utterly. It is great. Past Lives, I think, is a fantastic recent drama that a lot of people should watch. It is great. It's heartbreaking, but in a weird way, relieving. But yeah, those are some of my current favorites. What about you guys?
If I'm talking favorites of like ever kind of thing, and some of them again, like Raven, they're not good movies, but I will watch the shit out of them. But one I arguably say hands down, it still holds up today. My sister even showed it to my nephew, and now he's all into it. TMNT, the original live action movie, I personally think is
crazy.
Like a solid fucking movie. Solid fucking movie.
Crazy, dude.
Bro. The action, the mechanical suits from Jim Henson, like they still hold up. The it's a bit of a period piece because obviously it's the 90s, you can tell from the tech, but like they shot it in a way where I would still watch it today and enjoy it still. And my nephew's like 3. Now he's all into Ninja Turtles because my sister showed him, not number 2, she showed him the first gritty one where Raph says damn and everything, and he's all into Ninja Turtles now because of that movie. So like it's generational. That's what I'm saying. Like you could watch it still and he enjoyed it.
Joe,
Protect that child.
You remember what we were saying about like the movie can be perceived differently depending on what age you consume it?
Yeah.
TMNT 1 is a bloody excellent example of me watching as a kid, not realizing how dark and atmospheric it was as a kid. You know, as a Ninja Turtles. Like, yeah, cowabunga, dude. But dude, that shit was dark, and it wasn't until I watched it when I was like even in my 20s. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize this shit was like they burned the whole house down and shit, and dude, like the moment where like you hear that shot. The orbit shot of Raph reacting to Splinter, realizing Splinter's gone, and you feel Raph's dread, like he lost his father, dude. And then the shake they added, that just slight shake on the camera is
that's what I'm saying, man.
Dude, it felt like you were in Raph's head and you were feeling. I mean, this is a guy in a freaking costume which barely has. All he did was like kind of like have blinks. There was no like sense of like expression in the face, but you felt it because of how they filmed it. And just again, the cinematography of that moment was insane. Sorry, anyways, I didn't mean to stop. I just thought
that's what I'm saying. Like
100%,
100%. Like that's one of the movies where I'm like, that is a timeless one right there. Like, go watch it if you haven't watched it already. But then I like stupid movies that are appealing to me, and I don't know if anyone else would watch it, especially some of them. Night at the Roxbury, anyone? Night at the...
Fuck yeah.
I don't forever because it's so dumb. It was one of the first things I watched in DVDs I owned as a kid. I'm like, I love this. Like 100%, I'm gonna watch this nonstop. There's The Pest with John Leguizamo. Probably can't get away with that movie today, but because a lot of stereotypes. But
Absolutely not.
He tilted into it. Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Old
so
school.
bad, but it's so good because it's so bad. You know what I mean?
Nothing like casting a French guy for Guile, right?
That made no sense as a kid, but I didn't care. I watched it. I still watched it. I'm trying to think of at least one more example like that I watched. I'd argue Super Mario Brothers, the original movie, has because like the banter,
that's
the banter between Hopkins, whatever his name, Bob and Leguizamo, like they have like a brother thing. Like yeah, one's Latino, one's like British, but like I never questioned it because of the way they treated each other. It was like very like, you know, brother sibling kind of thing. Yeah, the movie wasn't great. Like hands down, it's not great like by standards of today, but it holds a warm place in my heart because that was one of those movies I went to again at the theater, and I remember specifically when we left, my uncle looked at my dad and he was just like, "The fuck was that?"
I'm dead.
Oh.
Lester, what about you?
Oh man, what am I? Okay, so movies that I will die on a hill for. Tropic Thunder comes to mind.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Tropic Thunder
It's
is
on my
like
list.
my movie. That is like my movie. I can
I just
watch.
watched it yesterday, actually.
Yeah. Superbad. I can go
Mm.
back and watch Superbad
Superbad's
all the
solid.
time. Just
Oh, yeah.
solid, like adult comedies. What else have I seen lately? Well, because of my recent YouTube endeavors, I'm like really into anime films lately. So does that count? Like,
Yeah,
I can
that
talk
counts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100% of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just really quickly, Kimi no Nawa or Your Name in
Mhm.
North America.
Fantastic fucking choice.
Absolutely love that movie. Saw it in 2017. Like I did like a 5-year pause from watching it again, just so I could kind of forget enough of it to get the feels
Dude,
again.
yeah.
Because like that's the kind of movie where oh man, it just hits you so hard. And it's like by all intents and purposes not a very complicated movie, but it's just so unapologetically romantic, and you are I guess you're tricked into thinking it's a very simple movie with like Freaky Friday. You're like, that's what you think it is, and then it just becomes something else entirely by the end. What else am I seeing right now? Ninja Scroll. Do you guys remember Ninja Scroll?
Oh, of course I
Oh,
do.
man.
Of course I do.
Oh, Ninja Scroll was like my movie. Completely changed the way I've thought of animation. I mean, at that point, I had already seen Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, but I just didn't know that it was anime. I just thought it was a video game movie, like the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I was like, man, this is where it's at. This is the future. You know what I mean? And then after that, it was just kind of like you get into the holy trinity, I guess. Ghost in the Shell, Akira, Wings of Honeyme's. What else? I could just list off a whole bunch of, like,
Studio
which ones.
Ghibli movies.
Studio Ghibli, I didn't really get into until film school. So I just like went through the whole back catalog at the time and just fell in love with it that way, and then revisited them again after film school and just loved them even more. Because one of the weird parts about film school is like, because of your peers, you're kind of almost peer pressured into liking certain kinds of movies. And then after you're like, why the fuck am I being peer pressured? Like, I like what I like. Fuck you guys.
Exactly.
So that's sort of like where I'm at now. I just like what I like, and I don't have to necessarily defend. Like, I'll defend them if I love them, and if you don't like them, it's fine. That's why there are critical reviews. Like, let the professionals have their opinions. Like, it's I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about that. But what other movies? Okay, hot take.
Yeah, give us the hot take.
My hot take is I absolutely love The Last Jedi. I think it's the best.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta send you a TikTok that I appear in, and I feel
This
like
may
you'll relate.
this may end my social media career like right now, but I fucking love that movie. And the reason why, and I will defend it again, is the thesis of the movie. Failure. What is failure, right? Failure isn't necessarily... Failure is part of the process. Like, this is why we do content creation. We're constantly failing until we get better, right? As an editor, I look to that movie as a creative, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm constantly failing every day with these edits. You have to fail until it feels right. When you're animating, you're failing until it feels right. Like, every part of the creative process is very much rooted in failure. And that movie is just It's a great like nothing goes right in that movie. Nothing, right? For these characters, they go on this path and everything falls apart for them. You think it's going one way, it just falls apart. It feels completely useless, but what happens at the end? Everyone learns something from it, right? It may not be like a victory in that sense, but just like Empire Strikes Back, which is also all about failure, by the way, and also people didn't really like when that originally came out. I feel that The Last Jedi is a perfect companion piece to The Empire Strikes Back because of these reasons. And I think in, 10, 15, 20 years, we may be looking at, I think The Last Jedi will be what The Empire Strikes Back was for this generation. So yeah, that's my hot take on it. Don't at me.
I mean,
No, just on that note, like I feel like it'll be given a prequel treatment where it'll like people will grow to either love it or drop their hate for it.
Right.
But I still I think it's
right.
But
Which is interesting because like I can go back to the prequels and kind of appreciate them for what they were.
But were you one of those people who
I
hated fucking
I didn't like
Hayden
the
Christensen?
okay.
Like
okay.
I didn't hate. I didn't
Because
hate.
he caught a lot of flack during that time.
No. I do remember, and I don't know. Like I guess I'm just kind of an optimist for any franchise. Like I do feel that the people, and maybe this is just because of being in the industry. You do know that people, when they go out to make, like, no one wants to go out to make a bad movie. It just happens that way. There's just so many moving parts. There's just so many things that just either work or don't work. And when a movie does work really well, it's just because the stars aligned, and it's so easy for things to fall off track because there's just so much happening. And especially for movies that big, it's an impossible task, It's the John.
I think impossible task is the perfect phrase for it because
it's an impossible task,
Detective Tato put it perfectly. Star Wars fans are their biggest enemies.
Yeah,
and
that's the reason why. It's just like I try not to get too lost in the noise of and this is one of the reasons why it took me so long to get back into content creation. It's just like I didn't want to be part of that. That vitriol hatred for something I love and feel pressured to hate the thing too. I just wanted to like what I like, and that's it.
That's fine. I appreciate that you've gone to this point that your opinion kind of reigns above the noise from the outside, but I will still say you're wrong. No joke. Other hot takes, boys. What do we got?
Hold on. Do you mind if I mention my iconic?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's iconic and then there's favorites, right? So for me, iconic, the meaning of it is that it's kind of has its place in film history of establishing something, right? So for example, it's funny, Lester mentioned two I have on my list. Tropic Thunder. I think it was the last great comedy film before cancel culture, where three-quarters of that film would be canceled immediately. Yeah. But I watched it last night and it was fucking amazing. Yeah. Right. And it to me it's iconic because it again it would be canceled today, but it was at a time where comedy was just comedy and it's all jokes and don't take it sensitive, don't be so sensitive. It's just people want to have a laugh, right? You play off the stereotypes of life and society. Super bad. Again, it's iconic for the fact of Fogel, just so many one-liners came out of that film is why I feel it was an iconic film. And then there's films like Into the Spider-Verse. It changed, in my opinion, it changed the animation industry and how they've, at least the way they kind of see films and made films. We wouldn't have films like Mutant Mayhem without Into the Spider-Verse, right? For example. Endgame, I feel it changed. It's iconic for the fact of it was the climax of, or at least the resolution to the entire MCU build up. But it's iconic because of that moment and what it stands for within the MCU. And then in terms of iconic in terms of more cinematography level, there's like Interstellar and 1917. Those two films are super iconic to, at least to me, in terms of what they were able to achieve with that. And now, in terms of favorite movies,
let's hear it.
I've mentioned it already. Lion King, Toy Story, why I love it. Into the Spider-Verse, why it's one of my favorites in terms of animation. But dude, I love Independence Day so much.
Yes.
I love it so much. It's funny because every time it's on, like, because we have IPTV and I see it on, like, my wife catches me and she's like, Independence Day again? He's like, yeah. I just love it. It's something about it.
I feel like it hits every point. Like, it's just nice. Oh.
It's so good. Right? And then in terms of like favorite drama films, it's two. I mentioned one already. Good Will Hunting's great. And Shawshank Redemption. Holy shit. That film is amazing. So I could always watch that when it's on. And then just to sum it up, TMNT 1 and 2 to me are like, I will always watch it. I'll find a time. Someone's like, do you want to watch TMNT? Yeah, let's fucking do it. But yeah, it's just kind of my spiel on those two.
Fuck yeah. Love
Number
that.
3. We don't talk about number 3.
Things change after Henson passed away, man. It's different. It doesn't hit.
Hot takes. I don't know if it's a hot take, but
I'll open it up to hot takes and like guilty pleasures, like things that are objectively bad that you just love.
Oh, for putting that, I'm gonna say I actually enjoyed Black Adam, despite the fact that everybody was like it's a shitty movie. Like, I thought it was okay. Like, it wasn't like, it's gonna do gangbusters to me or like it's gonna wow me, but I was like, it's a movie. Like, like it's a movie. And then that last scene with Henry Cavill, maybe it's just because I'm a Henry Cavill like fanboy, but like him showing up is like, that just completed the movie for me. Like, oh, okay, and then reboot universe. But like, I still enjoyed it.
Oh, such a failure of a moment.
Yeah, it's a fun B movie. Exactly. Like, I enjoyed it. It's kind of right up there with Army of Darkness for me. Sam Raimi's third movie in his, well, I wouldn't call it trilogy. Maybe like, it's 3 movies, but 2 of them connect. And I enjoy it, like, for the campy practical effects that it is, and Bruce Campbell's one-liners. Love it. It's not really a hot take, but anyways, hot take: Black Adam, not bad.
Oh, that's good. On guilty pleasures on my side, it's the usual like film student bullshit, but like The Room.
Oh god.
I just, if it's on, I just like everyone else with their specific movies, I have to watch it. Like, I can't not. I will sit there. I'll grab a drink.
I'm crying.
I love the drinking games that are created around it. I have gone hammered at least over 12 times to that movie. Fantastic.
You're tearing me apart. You're tearing me apart with that.
Oh, hi, Mike.
It's just so good. Like we still fucking quote to this movie that is objectively the worst thing on the planet, besides, I don't know,
Samurai Cop.
Like,
have you seen that? Have you seen Samurai Cop? Has anyone seen Samurai Cop?
Yeah.
It's on the same kind of, it's so bad, but people watch because it's so bad kind of thing. That's the movie I gotta tell George to add. Samurai Cop. Anyways, continue.
Whoa, what else? George Clooney Batman. That's my
Bat
that's
nipples.
my fucking Batman. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. George Clooney
He's your
is my
Batman?
Batman.
But what about the
he
rest?
is
But
my
what about the rest of them? Is that your Robin? Is that your Batgirl?
No, just George Clooney. I don't.
Okay.
Like George Clooney, you're great, bud. Keep it up. Too bad we're never gonna get you back as a Batman.
He was.
That's why he was in The Flash, and that's also why I say The Flash is my favorite Batman movie.
Jesus.
Well, like, let's be real, it's a Batman movie. Like, anyways, you guys go.
Mike, you want to start us off?
Yeah,
Sure.
Hot takes, guilty pleasures.
So guilty pleasures, I have a few. I think Fast and Furious, that entire
yeah.
series.
Oh my god, I say this all the time, but peak cinema.
I love it. Even with like how crazy and chaotic it's become, and unrealistic. Like, I don't give a shit. I will watch it. I enjoy every moment of that film. Of each film. You know, I'm a car guy too, to an extent. Not a geek, but I just something about it I love, even though it's evolved to a point where it's not about the cars anymore. Even though they're trying to dial it back. RoboCop, I just enjoy watching it. It's not
wait, original
at all.
Original or the new one or the remake?
Oh, dude,
original.
what the
Okay.
fuck?
Oh, yeah, no,
What?
No, dude, the wrong answer. It should be RoboCop 3.
Oh god, no.
Get out of here. Kick him out.
It's not about the OG RoboCop. You know, it came out the year I was born, I believe, and it's still one of my earliest VHS memories. You know, it's so funny. So I watched that Tropic Thunder, just guilty pleasure of mine, and I kind of put Hustler there for some reason. You guys know the reason. It's stupid. Is it odd? It's like Hustler is okay. J-Lo, I love J-Lo.
I'm dead.
I guess that's kind of it for guilty pleasures. I'm not sure if Rush Hour is considered a guilty pleasure, but just something about Rush Hour.
Rush Hour is
watching
amazing. All of them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Every single movie is good.
Yeah, I don't really have hot takes, man, but those are my guilty pleasures.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. It's a good list.
Yeah.
How about you, Lester?
I don't know if these qualify as guilty pleasures. Space Jam? Space Jam?
Space Jam's sick.
Space Jam a bad? I don't think it's a
Oh,
bad movie. It's not like an
Question.
Oscar-winning
Original
performance, but-
or the sequel?
LeBron James.
Okay.
Your face, Joe.
Then Don Cheadle had to see a chiropractor because he hurt his back trying to keep that movie, trying to carry that movie
Valid.
on his shoulders. That
Valid.
poor man. Poor man. Let's see. I like the bad endings of trilogies. Matrix Revolutions, I guess. Does that count?
I
Let's
think
see.
Revolutions suck. Like
Yeah. Like I think it wasn't a great movie, but I still enjoy the shit out of that movie. Let's see. Back to the Future 3. That's the one no one wants to talk
that's a
about.
crazy one.
Wow.
with the cowboys.
Train
Okay, so
and the train, yeah.
so fun fact about Back to the Future 3. So back in the day when I was like 8, I don't know, we had this like VHS subscription service. So you'd get like, I don't know, like a 5-pack of, you know, recent movies that have come out in like a VHS set. And Back to the Future 3 was one of them. And I swear to God, as an 8-year-old, I watched that VHS tape so much and committed that movie to memory. That I couldn't even play it back. Like it was just like like all the distortion and stuff was starting to crop in. Like the tape deteriorated so bad from fast forwarding and rewinding and all that stuff. Everyone hates that one. I have a very special that one has a very special place in my heart. I don't know if this counts as a guilty pleasure, but Hook. I love Hook. For some reason, it was. Oh, you're doing it, Peter. You're doing it. Looky! I got Hooky. I always wanted a dad like you. Yeah.
No, it's so good.
I love that movie. For some reason, it was critically panned, but I don't care. Julia Roberts was super hot in it for some reason. Whatever. Not gonna argue with it. And I think that's pretty much. Oh, Mortal Kombat, the original.
You know, that was good. I agree. That was good.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
good?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is a guilty pleasure. It's not a very good movie. CGI is terrible in it.
Of course. But like
It's
it
incredibly
did...
quotable.
Exactly.
Your soul is mine.
Point at the
You
camera.
know, like it's so good. And that theme song, you can't ignore
Oh
the theme
yeah.
song, you know? Those were $500 glasses, asshole. You know, like there's so many good lines in that movie. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got off the top of my head. You guys already know my hot takes.
Your talk about VHSs and wearing out reminded me of another movie that is a guilty pleasure.
9.5 weeks.
No. Shall We Dance? which is there's an American version called Shall We Dance, but it's the original Japanese version. It was on this VHS tape when we went to a cottage. It's about a salaryman who's unfulfilled with his current life. So I guess I can kind of relate now.
Damn.
He's looking to do something, and one day he passes by and sees a very sad-looking lady outside a ballroom dancing school. And then he decides to go there to try and meet her, and he ends up learning to dance and loving to dance and like hiding it from, because I guess in Japan it's like a faux pas at the time where like a guy learning to ballroom dance and it's not his wife or something. It's weird. And it's just this whole journey about coming full circle. And then when he finally gets to like dance with the teacher at the very end, platonic at that point, it just really hit. And I just remember watching it, and then after that I had to find it and get a copy of it, and that's one of the ones I'll watch like every so often because it's really moving.
Okay, so I got a question. I don't think it's really in our list of questions here, but I'm just gonna shoot my shot. What is a movie that you hate so much? Like the moment someone brings it up, you want to murder them. Is there a movie in your
Can it be a series, or does it have to be a specific movie?
Well, I mean, to stay topical, let's just say movie.
Okay. Are you starting off, or you want us to jump in first? Because I
Should I go
got
first?
Give us an example. Yeah, you give us an example.
Okay. Center Stage. Do you guys remember Center Stage?
Who's
Center Stage was I can't even remember when this movie came out because I hate it so much. Basically, it takes place in like the New York Ballet, and there's this girl, and she's trying to become like the premier ballet dancer of the company, and you have like the dance directors, and it's just her like trying to dance her way to success, and it's just so fucking bad. It just makes me so angry. Like, oh god, like they're just dancing in this studio, and it's just like everyone's sweaty, and it's just so awkward because they're like really enjoying their dancing, but it's like it's not even dancing I appreciate in any way, and fuck, I hate that. Oh fuck, I hate it. I hate it.
Okay, no, I'm catching the vibe.
But that's it. I don't even know. I can't even have a logical discussion about it because now I'm talking about it and I'm just getting angry. I'm sweating. I'm so like it's so fucking stupid in its conceit. And then there's this epic dance number that happens at the end, and people are just fucking changing clothes from shot to shot. There's no goddamn continuity in the whole thing. It's just
damn.
Oh, God.
All right, fair enough. Mine is the second Joker movie. Fuck that movie.
Oh man.
Fuck that movie. You fail in every single aspect of creating a movie, and especially one that is a musical. Like, how dare you call this a musical? It is dog shit. There is no progression throughout the whole entire goddamn movie. It basically ruins everything that was established in the first movie. And then at the very end, sorry, spoiler alert, but I don't think anyone's gonna fucking watch it. You realize that Arthur is not actually the fucking Joker, which is dumb. Like, it is dumb. We watched a movie about a dude who was supposed to be the Joker, and then they just fucking ruin everything at the very end. It could go suck a dick. And
a lot of people felt the same, from what I could tell. Like, a lot of people.
I was so upset. I wasted like 2.5 hours watching that dog shit. Like, oh my god. Now I'm upset like you, Lester. What the hell?
Sorry. Okay, just another one real quick. Just interject. Fucking X versus Sever with Lucy Liu and Antonio Banderas. I fucking hate that movie like so much. It is a piece of shit. I hope it dies and never gets seen again. I'm sorry I brought it up. Fuck that movie. Just fuck it right in the ear. Fuck.
Mine's really simple. The last Michael Bay Transformer movie. Like, I watched, like, they progressively got worse, but that one hit a point for me where I was watching it in VIP, and I remember this guy in front of me. We had the similar context. Like, he's like, "Oh, you've watched them all, so you must really like it." And he's like, "No." He's like, "But I've gotten this far, so I figured might as well finish it." I'm like, "That's true, me too." Then I watched the movie, and I've never in my entire life wanted to get up and leave a movie theater more than I have in that fucking movie. I sat there going like, what are we, what? I'm like, what the hell makes no fucking sense? I'm like, why are we doing these? I'm just like, and like, I literally wanted to get out of my seat and just fucking leave. Like, I've never been pissed off by a movie as more than that fucking thing, because that was the epitome, the pinnacle, the climax of the Michael Bay experience. And the man should stop touching nostalgia products. I swear to God. Oh, anyways.
That's so funny because Window is saying the same thing in chat. Oh, that's so funny.
Potato, yeah.
Lucky, what else do you hate?
Okay, I don't hate any films really. Like I keep an open mind as much as I can. Although, you know, there's some things I have so much appreciation for, and when they reboot it, for example, dude, when they rebooted Ninja Turtles, like at first I hated it. I grew to just kind of respect that it exists.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like I'll watch, you know, the first one in Out of the Shadows, because Out of the Shadows I felt was more of a Ninja Turtles film than the first. But other than that, I don't really hate, like, something I actually hate. The closest things I hate probably was the fourth Matrix film to reboot.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like talking about that.
I think it was very much also
hurts, man.
built to be hated. Like you could
That one
see
hurts.
from the writing itself.
The writing was terrible.
They call forth that how bad of a movie, and it was a mistake to actually create in the movie.
They were hitting on thematics that just didn't feel genuine to what the Matrix was about.
Right.
Right? It just, the pillars of what they were trying to I guess discuss or portray within the film, and just
She didn't even want to make it in the first place, did she?
Yeah.
Like she was contractually obligated or something like I think it was something to the effect of they had to make the movie and they were going to do it with or without her. So she decided to just make it so it could be hers, but then she also probably did it with the intention of tanking the franchise so no one would ever touch it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would make a lot of sense if that was the case, because just as someone who loved, I think all of us here love the Matrix. Well, at least the first, the original.
Yeah, I can.
It just, it's like if you're gonna reboot the Matrix, you're directly comparing it to the first Matrix, and it just nowhere close was it touching how great the first one was.
Yep.
Like if you actually sit down and like really watch it, they call forth how like they make little jabs at the movie itself through the dialogue. Like Neo says a few things that are very much just like, wait a minute, is he just breaking the fourth wall right now? But yeah, no, dog shit. It shouldn't have happened. I'm sad. God, this is what you've done, Lester. You've made us all upset.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hold up. Yo, I came up with a hot take, just real quick, because I said I didn't. My hot take is Sixth Man, if you guys know what that movie is the best basketball film ever.
Interesting.
Ever?
Interesting.
That's for me.
Like over like Coach Carter.
I like Coach Carter, but something about Sixth Man, I just enjoyed it because it was just, I don't know. I grew up an only child, and you know, I grew up playing basketball with close friends and people, you know, I got really close with in terms of friendship, and I'm like, these are like my brothers. And the film is about, sorry, spoilers, is about how there's these two brothers playing on the team, and then unfortunately one of them passes away mid-game, and the rest of the film is essentially about how his brother kind of is there in ghost form and kind of supporting his other brother and making his other brother, who wasn't the star, by the way. So like the brother that died was like the star athlete, star player of the team, and he dies, and it's like now, you know, he's living in the shadow of his brother who's a ghost, but then as a ghost he's doing these supernatural things that makes him, all the shots go in, and then it just kind of ends with this whole like this one moment where it's like you know, the final shot type of moments, like a buzzer beater, and after Marlon Wayans, by the way, is the younger brother in this case, one of the Wayans brothers, he shoots it from like half court or something, and he's like, you see his ghost, his brother who's a ghost, kind of come in. He's like about to help him out, and he's like, "No, let it go, man." It's almost like that was like the moment where it's like,
I remember that fucking.
I felt a piece that you're gone. Just, you know, like I don't want you to have to keep doing this for me. Like it was symbolic in terms of him and how he had to let his brother go. All right, Coach Carter, that didn't do anything for me. You know, I love
What? Wow.
Coach Carter didn't do that for me. Coach Carter was about Timo Cruz and being like, what was the thing? What was the line? It's like, what was it the famous line they'd always say in there? There's a quote.
You gotta be more specific. There's a lot of quotes in that one.
I don't know. It's like
a lot happens in that movie. A lot was said in that movie.
I don't know. It's like to me, it was like it gave me something to feel more than Coach Carter.
That's fair enough. I think that's valid. That's very valid.
The fact that we're saying, we're only comparing to Coach Carter says a lot about basketball films in general. So
yeah. Slam dunk.
Say Luck of the Irish was a pretty good comedy basketball movie with the other Wayne's brother. Some people in chat, Matrix only needed one movie, but they really dragged it to make more. They should have just done supercuts, says Tato.
I don't know how I feel about that because I did like the expansion upon the universe. Like Animatrix was fantastic. Like I love the Animatrix. All the shorts were great. Like Detective Story is still one of my favorites, even though it's not the greatest out of the bunch.
Silver is only watched two.
Oh, so good.
Our Greatest Fear? Is that it? Is that the line?
That's the Greatest Fear monologue.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Greatest Fear is not being in it. Yeah. But that was a good fucking that was a good speech. Like it was great.
I mean, I another hot take.
Say it before every match you play in the video game.
No. I just think about like the first like 3 words, and then I forget the rest of them, and then
yeah.
I don't know if it's a hot take.
Samuel Jackson,
Last hot take for me, I guess, is I didn't think Rudy was a great movie.
Wait, which one? Which movie?
Rudy, the football, Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
The dude who plays a Hobbit. I don't know his name, but he was an Encino Man. You've done stuff with him, like video wise.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the context, because you can't just say you did stuff with him.
I don't know his name. Is it Sam? Is that Sam the Hobbit? You know that guy, the one that's with Frodo all the time. You said he's a really nice guy in real life. That's what you told me.
Yeah, well, like I say, a lot of celebrities are nice guys. Like
I know. Don't take that out of context. Not videos like that. Not videos like that, guy. You didn't do those kind of videos.
Yeah. See, thank you, Tato.
Encino Man cast real quick. Where is he? That's in Kanto.
Man, I love it.
Encino Man is the best Pauly Shore film.
It is.
Sean Astin. Sean Astin.
Oh, Sean Astin. Yeah, Sean Astin is great. He's
yeah, like he played Rudy in the football movie where he wanted to go to Notre Dame this whole time. Like I remember watching him. Like that to me, apparently, like people say it's a really good movie. I'm just kind of like he got to play football for one game. Okay, cool. Like,
okay.
If anything, like the longest,
great, though.
the longest yard was or the Green Mile or whatever. Not the football movie with the.
Longest yard is.
Longest Yard, yeah.
Adam Sandler. I can't remember the original one.
But like both were good. I enjoyed both of them. Those hit me more than Rudy. Just saying.
Yeah, Adam Sandler's Longest Yard is awesome.
I love it.
Cheeseburger
so
Eddie.
Good.
Oh my god.
I got the fries. I knew it would be too long until you came to me. What do you want? I got the fries. I will open your eyes. He's like, I got the shakes that'll give you quakes. I got burgers. Man, I got burgers.
Hard ellipses. I just got burgers. Amazing. How long are we running to, Joe?
Just around 2 hours. So I know we're coming up on it, so we might want to wrap it up. So.
All right, let's wrap her up with all of us providing 3 movie recommendations across different genres. The ones that you think are standouts within the genre, are your personal favorites, or whatever, just whatever reasoning you got.
Okay. You want to go first?
If you need a moment to think, I feel free. But if someone wants to go first, feel free. Take the stage.
All right, I'll drop some 3 because now that we mentioned Encino Man, I just thought about it. A movie recommendation: the original, is it The Mummy or just Mummy with Brendan Fraser? That's a classic.
Nice.
In the like action genre, in terms of comic book movies, like we mentioned earlier, TMNT 1. If you have not done yourself a favor and seen that film, please go watch it. It still holds up today. It's very dark, but like it's so well done. And then if we're just going third recommendation, comedy. There's so many Jack Black ones I want to say, but like I'd have to honestly.
You only get one.
I know. Pick a Destiny, I thought was a really good one, like for Jack Black, because it blended his music styles with like a kind of funny story of how they met. So I think those three guys.
Nice. All right, who wants next?
Go Lester. It's all you.
Okay, all right. Put me on the spot here. Okay, okay. So let's go right into horror, because we haven't really talked about it.
Nice.
My greatest recommendation of a modern horror film is probably Hereditary. If you haven't seen that, that movie will make you poop your pants. I'm not even kidding. That movie messed me up for a while.
I have opinions on that movie, but I do agree it is a good movie.
So that's horror. Sci-fi, we talked about it a bit. Interstellar, but I think everyone and their mother has seen Interstellar, or should I say everyone and their father has seen Interstellar? Because holy crap, as a dad and watching that movie now, it just hits really differently, man. Like, I can't get through that goddamn movie without crying. Let's see. So that's Interstellar. Romance, if you want to take it back, I would recommend. Well, let's see. The Before trilogy, Richard Linklater's Before trilogy. So Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight. Those movies, like Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, are an excellent double bill movie. If you liked Your Name, it really encapsulates that feeling of longing and yearning. So good. And then the third movie is, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a harder watch because of how raw it gets, I guess. So maybe wait a week and then watch that third movie. So that's kind of cheating. I gave you 5 at this point. Yeah, I'll just stop it there, because then once you get into like animated stuff, I'll leave that to Mike, because that's his thing.
Oh, I am not keeping anything. I guess it's me. Okay, so there's 3 I have listed here. For reasons I'll explain. 1917 is one of the greatest films I've ever seen. If you want to know what it is, what it means to execute cinematography and film editing at the highest level, watch 1917. The way they use all the camera shots, all the lighting, the composition, how everything kind of comes together, and it's wrapped into essentially an entire linear shot, like of just with barely noticeable cuts. Right, I think Birdman tried to did it too. There's cheats, right? Of course, like of how you do it with masking and all that. And I think Lester knows pretty well on that front. But I think 1917, like it's fucking absolutely incredible what they did with that. The second one, I love watching samurai films, but 13 Assassins, the 2010 one, not the old 1963 one that was based off, but dude, 13 Assassins was so raw. Something about it just felt like holy shit. Like, you watch it, it's not too gory, but it's just something so raw about it. And it really felt like if you really put the movie 300 into like a samurai film, but actually made it conceivable, right? Not saying 300 Spartans didn't stop 10,000 Persians or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, it was more conceivable in terms of like 13 assassins versus an entire army. It's great. And then the last one, like, this is one of those things where I'll watch it all the time, but if you haven't seen Whiplash, you need to watch Whiplash.
Yes, sir.
Holy shit. Like, the first time I watched Whiplash, I was like, my jaw was dropping because I didn't know what to expect. I was on my toes, and it's just the acting from both sides was just insane. I mean, like, didn't he won an Oscar for it, right?
I can't remember. I'm not sure.
I think he did. Like
I think was he like best
Let me just
supporting
double
actor or something like that?
J.K.
I
Simmons.
remember
Yeah, that
watching
movie
it
is
last
like-
year because they had a big
Yeah, he won it, he
re-release
won
for
it.
the anniversary. It's so good. Like
It's so freaking good. Like it, it almost felt surreal that like that someone can be this evil in a way evil, even though they're trying to, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like it's the idea of tough love to the nth degree. You know what I mean? For lack of a better
like
term,
the
but it was
the
crazy.
idea of would you rather be good or would you rather be great? You know, what I
Yeah.
mean? There is sacrifice to be made, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that comes that comes
It's-
across very much so
Yeah.
within
It
Whiplash.
just the ethics of it, right, is kind of like, and it's crazy because like I'm sure there are people like this in the world, you know what I mean, but like to actually see it portrayed in the way it was, and how, you know, it's funny because like the ending, you kind of like what you kind of leave it up to your own perception of like, okay, what ended up happening with this guy, if I recall correctly.
Mhm.
Like, cause like he was doing some shit and I think he got ordered. I'm trying to remember exactly the ending. I got to rewatch it, but it was one of those films. So I'm like, hey, if you want to watch intensity in a film, like beyond what Tarantino does for you, this is it. It's crazy.
Nice, great list. Yo, y'all gave great lists, like fantastic recommendations. My quick ones. I'm gonna recommend more recent films just because I've been getting into more recent films. But first and foremost, Knives Out, I think, is a fantastic, fun film. A nice little murder mystery to get you going. Surprisingly, I actually think like the color grading is actually my least favorite part about it. It just feels too beige. But with that being said, it is great. I think it's fantastic. Actually, I'm gonna recommend an old film. I'm gonna recommend La Haine. It's a crime drama. It's French for hate. It's really fucking good. It's a solid arty film about just life in Paris within like 80s 90s, and it will crush you at the very end. I like things that make me feel upset. With that being said,
I like things that crush me, but hey.
what, sir? How dare you? And then last one I'm going to recommend is
He-Man, Master of the Universe. No.
I'm gonna recommend Dodgeball. If you want a great film to make you feel good about
Excellent.
life, Dodgeball is the one that you should go with because it is the best. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Eat her. Arr.
Hey, Raven,
Bold
next time
strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Next time I see you and I slap you in the face, you start bleeding, you better say what I think you're gonna say.
Briefly,
Yeah, he's not gonna say it.
Huh?
You made
Sorry,
me
what?
bleed my own blood.
You made me bleed my own blood.
Michelle.
I really want to learn his call out for his whole team. What's it? Laser, Blazer.
Laser, Taser, and Katinka.
So good. All right, but that is it. Boys, where can we find y'all?
That's a great. If you have places to be found.
Yeah.
Mikey, you want to go
You
first?
first? Oh, fine. Well, I've been very busy with fatherhood, so I haven't been socials on the socials, you know. But I'm around. You'll find me on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it, unless we're going on strike and not supporting Elon. But other than that,
Okay.
I'll be around. You know, you may find me randomly on Joe's stream, but yeah, not too.
I still want to do that reboot episode. I'm telling you, reboot.
Oh, dude, actually, I just spoke to Spanky about it because, like, you know how the reboot, what do you call it? The documentary came out.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it?
Documentary, yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to him about it because he was on there. Andrew Spanky Grant. He was featured many times throughout the 7-episode documentary. And we were just catching up about it, and if you want to do it, I could try to find a time. I'll ask him. He's kind of busy, but yeah, just let me know.
Down. And how about you, Lester?
Sweet. Hey, so you can find me on YouTube at Super Lester World, where I specialize in video essays about the pop culture that shaped me. So far, I'm going on an anime film binge, but we'll see. We'll see what the analytics say about that. Really enjoying my trip down content creation. Again, it's been like about a month and a half at this point, and so yeah, you can find me there. You can also find me on Twitch, also at Super Lester World, where at present I am currently doing a playthrough of Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. So check it out. I'll have I don't even know what you guys call those, but I guess let's plays of like chapters. I'm so new to this, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you can say cut downs as well. Cut downs from the stream.
Yeah, cut downs, whatever. I play a chapter at a time and then I upload it, whatever that's called. I have a bunch of playlists on the YouTube page as well. So one series is called Do You Remember, which is basically the video essays. And then I have a second playlist, well, it's really just one, where it's called Side Quests with Lester, where I just go somewhere and do something, I guess. And then I have Lester Plays, where I'm, at this point, playing Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. Or whatever floats my boat, but that's where to find me, guys. Cool.
Of course, Mr. Raven Squaaak, what would you like to say about yourself?
Don't you fucking dare.
I'm not going to play the video. I'm just doing the regular one. Just do the regular
Okay. Yeah, you know me. I'll be back one day. And like, if you're missing content with me, search TikTok and Instagram. I'm sure you can find a few videos of me floating around your FYPs.
But otherwise, we'll be doing this on a monthly cadence as we've been doing so far. I guess the next topic's still being decided. That'll be on me to pick.
That's on you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Oh, also, people who are watching on stream, I apologize. I found out why my mic was potato because I was using the wrong mic. Everyone in Discord hears my real mic. Everyone on the stream is hearing something else. So.
Oh my heavens, Joe!
It was using this one. It was using this one.
Not episode 2 when we're back.
I know. But
Damn.
My bad.
We'll figure it out
bad.
for next one.
You got the sound levels right, and then I fuck up my own mic, of course.
That's cool. We'll get it next time.
But that being said, guys, we're not gonna rate anyone because most of the friends I follow are doing building, and it just seems like not connecting. So we're just gonna end the stream here. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank our guests, Mikey and Lester, for joining us for the stream as well. And it was glad that everyone can catch it as well. Again, next month we'll do another one. This cut down. Will be on YouTube afterwards.
Boo!
Shut up! I just gotta clean up some of the stuff on my end, editing wise. So expect it within the week. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we will catch you all later. Bye, guys.
Bye.